Yo, in today's video, we're going to make this Houston Kold edit. I'm actually in Houston's paid community, so hopefully I know what I'm talking about. The project file will be in the description. You guys can like and subscribe. Plenty more content coming this way. It took a while to make, and I hope you guys find it valuable. But yeah, let's get right to it. I'm in After Effects now. I've just got a composition of 1920 by 1080, pretty standard with a 24 second per second frame rate. So yeah, I've got also the clip that I've made after Houston, so I can kind of reference it as I go along here.
People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares.
So let's get going. Let's make a new camera. We'll use a 50mm preset. And is my composition... Okay, make sure your render is on like classic 3D when you make the camera. So let's make a new text layer, and we'll type in people. Let's go with monster at extra bold, I think should be good. Move that text behind the camera layer. So now we'll position the text so that it's kind of similar. So that looks pretty good. Hit Command-Shift-D on the people layer and it'll split it up. And then you can just like delete the people, the second copy of it, so it's not as long. And now we're gonna just shorten it a bit to there, I guess, because it stops like right there. And now we're gonna have this don't text come in. So duplicate that layer, move it over a bit. Then we'll change the fill, or actually it's a gradient, so we'll pull up gradient ramp, and then we'll change the colors to like red on top, obviously, and then black on the bottom. But you can see how, here, we'll take that off. Actually, let's make a new like black layer while we're at it. So make solid black, move it to the bottom. Okay, so yeah, let's go back to that don't text. Let's actually change it right now. And it's also Bebas font. Whoops. And it's a lot bigger. There we go. So yeah, let's get back to making that gradient better. So you just have to change the position of it, which is bugging up for me right now. So it's like tighter. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's go back. Let's reference the original just so we can see where the hell it should be. That looks pretty good. Screw it. So to get that animation as the letters come in, I'm going to use, I'm going to use Animation Composer, which is mostly a free plugin. You guys should get it if you don't have it yet. But yeah, we're gonna pull up ease and position, or we can go through text. There's all kinds of presets, obviously. You guys can choose what you want. You don't have to copy Houston exactly. It's not the way of the world. You don't have to copy him exactly, but in this video, we're gonna try a bit, obviously, because it's a recreation. So yeah, it's under fade and position, like text presets, fade and position, ease. I'll go with this one, and then just hit in, and then you can change the length of it. So now the letters animate in, obviously. And then there's this care about text that comes in. So we'll do that. We'll duplicate the people layer, move it above maybe just for organization. And then we'll change this people. We'll change it to care. Whoops. And then duplicate that. And then change it to about. Whoops again. Then we'll make a new null object and then parent these two layers to the null. So now we just have to make sure that like they're actually positioned properly. So let's turn on the original layer. So let's move this down quite a bit. And then let's select both of them and scale them down a bit. And then select the care and like position it so it looks right. And then we'll position the about so it looks right. So once your care about are positioned properly, I've noticed that they stay together. And it should be centered a bit better. How does it look with the don't? Also, yeah, the don't has to be moved over the length of it so that it's there like the whole time. That looks pretty good. So far,
People don't care about who you are.
we have that. So that looks pretty good. Now let's go back to Houston's video. And now we start getting some camera movement. So let's do that. What you have to do, turn all these layers to 3D so we can obviously animate the 3D camera. And now that they're in 3D, let's do that. So I think around here it starts animating out. So we'll position, or we'll keyframe that. Let's move those over. And then just, it's kind of trial and error, but let's just play with the position, but that looks pretty good for now. So we see how that's kind of where like this whole who you are and this dude standing there comes in. So let's do that. Let's turn off that layer. Let's pull in the guy. This will all be in the description, the project file. I just made all these things with Midjourney, but you can make your own AI things, obviously, too. So make that 3D, and we'll position it kind of where it should be. It's got to come in front of everything, though. So let's do that, and then let's pull up fill to make it black. Okay, can't see anything, so we'll do at the same time, I guess. Pull up gradient ramp on the original black layer, the black background. And what we should do for that actually is just make sure, it'll be easier this way, but so let's keyframe the ramp to black on the bottom and black on the top for like most of it. So we'll do, just keyframe the start color because the black will stay the same. So move over a bit and then we'll keyframe it to red. So now it goes from like black obviously to red. And let's move the guy over more though. Scale him down a bit maybe. Okay, that should probably be good. Let's move it to here. He only comes in like there, I think. A bit over. Move it there. Okay, cool. So now we have this.
People don't care about who you are or what you
Looks pretty terrible, but we're getting there. So let's just duplicate the about layer. Let's move it over. And then we'll change it to, here, let's maybe, let's move the position just forward a bit so we can see the damn thing. And then there, yeah, leave 3D on. Whoops, let's Move it forward again. Who, duplicate that, move it down a bit. R, duplicate that, move it down a bit. U, there we go. Let's select all of them and change the font because that's not right. It's Bebis again. Then we'll, oh, look how good that looks. We'll scale them up, and then we'll go into line and, ooh, let's un-3D them. Let's not do that. Let's just position them kind of manually. Who are you? I think it looks pretty good. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna notice this for like 3 seconds. Let's actually just make a new null though, so it's a bit easier to work with. And turn those off from the previous null if they have a null. And now make that null 3D, make these layers 3D. Then go back to the null and we can position it where we want it. Make sure it's behind the dude. So, and then we'll just scale it up. Whoops. Okay, cool. And now we just have to change it to like a stroke instead of this white. So we'll do that. We'll go into properties, we'll turn off the fill, turn on the stroke. And that looks pretty good, like a 1 stroke width. Cool. So now we have this so far, but these layers all have to come in way earlier. Probably right about here. That guy should come in a bit earlier too. So we'll do that. Yeah, like right here. So now we have this so far.
People don't care about who you are or what you
The camera movement looks terrible, kinda. So we'll easy ease that. You can do F9 to make them easy ease if you don't know what easy ease means, but it just makes the keyframes like ease into the movement easier, like slower, so it looks smoother, and then it eases out the same way. It slows down, like it's the fastest in the middle. So now,
about who you are or what.
but I have a plugin that kind of does it better, but you can just play with the keyframes if you want, but this is just a quicker way to do it. So I'm going to easy ease them like this. And now that we have everything positioned, we can move the camera keyframe quite a bit further back, but let's zoom out way more to like the final ish spot kind of. So let's look where, let's turn like everything off for a sec here. Yeah, so right about here is like a significant kind of movement, and then from there it really zooms out. So just for now we'll go to here, and then let's turn everything back on, and it seems like that's pretty good position wise. I've noticed though we should change the kind of color of the background. That red's a bit too bright, so we'll go into the keyframe and then just, I don't know, make it something like that. Cool. And also we should go on don't care about you layers and then just keyframe the opacity, like right here, I guess. So actually move them back a bit, but that looks pretty good. And also, I guess we can do this now. Let's throw in like a quick lens flare. You can use any lens flare, anything, any transition ever. but I am going to use this one. So yeah, let's do that. I'm going to just transition between like this and that. Houston's supposed to be in this black background, but can't really use that video because he already has text over it, so I can't really help. Can't use it for our tutorial. So now we have this nice little lens flare transition. I'm gonna turn the opacity down quite a bit.
Who you are or what you
Now we have that. Pretty simple, pretty whatever. Not that big of a deal. So yeah, let's see what we have now. What should we do? We'll go in to everything, turn it off. You can see here the Houston's like who you are text is like it goes from white stroke to red fill with a gradient on it. So let's do that. And I've also noticed I have who are you instead of who you are. So let's change that real quick. That's kind of hilarious. Let's move it down. And then let's move this up. Okay, there we go. So yeah, let's pre-comp all of those. Let's pre-comp those 3 words. Go into your project kind of panel and duplicate it. Duplicate this pre-comp in the command or in the project folder, because otherwise it'll be the same comp and you can't switch anything or change anything without changing the other one. So drag that over, turn 3D on. Let's go into it. Fill on, stroke off. Let's close that, close that. So now see how we can have 2 different compositions. So then pull up gradient ramp, do the same crap we just did. Cool. So now let's see what we have to do. Okay, that looks all pretty good. There's also the question mark on the dude's head that we almost forgot, but who the hell cares? Doesn't matter. Yeah, let's just make a new text layer. And then just type in question mark, obviously. I'm going to use Pacifico. And then just change the fill to red. Move it below the camera. We'll look where the red dude's position is, -19, and then we'll make that also -19 on the question mark. Let's move it to his head. Scale it up a bit. And it also comes in, it should come in where the guy comes in. So right there. That looks good. We should also maybe add some depth to this between the who you are and this dude. So let's do that. All we have to do is like select the question mark and the guy and just move them a bit forward. But then let's scale them down so they're kind of back to where they were in terms of size. And then let's just move that silly little question mark again. So now we have something like this, which looks pretty good. So let's look at what we have to do still. Okay, so right about here, you see this black square rectangle thing come in, and that like serves as like a kind of transition thing to get rid of this who you are text. And then also gets like, I don't know, it's just a cool movement to show us what you do text. So let's do that. Let's go to new new shape layer. And if you don't have a rectangle selected, just keep on hitting Q a couple times. And now let's draw in a rectangle. Change that to black. Move it below the camera. Turn on 3D. Doesn't really matter the position. So let's just scale it. But let's look how kind of what it looks like. Okay, so here should be down here. And then just tighten it up a bit. That looks pretty good. Like we can do that if we want. So yeah, so let's just keyframe the position because it moves down, obviously. It stays here for like a couple frames, 1 frame maybe, and then it goes down a bit. So let's do that. So we'll go here, pull up position. Actually turn off 3D maybe, let's see. Yeah, well, there's very little 3D. There's very little like parallax on this layer. Doesn't matter, whatever. Let's position it. So I positioned it here. Let's move a couple frames forward and just have it come down a bit. Let's easy ease those again, just so it's a bit smoother.
What you do. No.
And let's scale it up, or let's at least scale it lengthways, just so it's like not peaking kind of on the side there, as you saw.
What you do. No.
So now we have that. And it goes away right about here. So let's do Command Shift D, delete that layer, and then just make it however long it is. So only comes in here too. So let's do that. Okay, so now what we have is that. Cool. Also gonna just add in like a black kind of gradient on the bottom. Just super easy to make. You can just make that in Photoshop or make it in After Effects. So yeah. Let's pull in the black gradient to the bottom kind of area here. Doesn't have to be 3D, but let's move it down a bit. Let's hold Shift so it doesn't wobble all over the place. And now it kind of just helps. I don't know, just helps the bottom kind of look less busy or something. It focuses your eye on the who you are thing. And the who you are opacity, like it doesn't stay there forever, so we'll keyframe the opacity. So let's do that. So it's the pre-comp. Let's pull up the opacity. 100% here, and then we'll just go to 0, like right about here. Same with the you can keyframe the guy's opacity too. Like that's not really what Houston does, so let's see what Houston does, I guess. We'll go into adjustment layer, pull up Gaussian blur. And then we'll move it to the start, like just where it is, kind of zooming out here. So we'll let's move it above everything essentially. And we can play with blur. Let's not make it too blurry. So yeah, let's keyframe the opacity to 0, from 0, I should say. And then move a couple frames over. And then it's blurry. Let's do it like this. So let's make it kind of get blurry earlier and quicker. Or not quicker, I should say. Like just more gradual. And then we have to have this what you do thing come in. So let's do that. Let's do new text layer. Move it below the camera. I love when that happens. Make a new, like I'm just making a new layer now. What you do. That's the ugliest type ever. Fill. Let's change it to white, obviously, and then something like Arial. Arial regular. And then before we make it a 3D layer, we can just align it in the composition. Let's move it up a bit so that it's like unveiled. So then make it 3D. And we have to play with the thing quite a bit. So yeah, it doesn't even come in until like here. And let's scale it up on the Z a bit. And it also animates in letter by letter. Or not like letter by letter, but kind of word by word, so we can do that. So we'll hit U a couple times, go into animate, opacity, turn it down to 0, go into start, keyframe that, go a couple frames forward, and then just hit like 100, so we have that. And then I will just keyframe that, or sorry, ease them, so it looks a bit better. And yeah, so let's see what we have right now to do. It's coming together, I think. We have pretty much every element. We just have to keep going. Okay, so now let's do the no one. Let's do this massive kind of camera movement outward. So to do that, we're gonna make a null object, new null object, parent the camera to it, and then we'll go into the camera's properties and just look at them. We'll open up the null's properties. This will make the camera movement quite a bit smoother by having it the camera parented to a null, so we can kind of move it on like 2 axes, kind of. So we'll keyframe the null's position, make it 3D. We'll keyframe the null's position a bit before the end of the camera's movement position. And then we'll just go wherever for now, like just a bit forward. Yeah, this should probably be good. And then just start zooming out a ton. Something like that. And then change the ease of them.
No one cares.
Let's go like quite a bit further out. Also, I don't like the gap of, see how there's a bit of gap here before like that, what you do comes in. So let's just move it like back. And now we have it kind of come in quicker. So let's see what we have so far in total.
People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares.
Not bad. I'm going to work on the keyframes later, I think, just to make them a bit
About who you are or what you do. No one cares.
action-packed or something. We can just do it right now if we want, but we can make it
You do. No one cares.
kind of zoom out quicker. So you can go into the graph editor and do it yourself. Like I said a bit earlier, but I have this plugin that kind of just makes it way quicker. So I'm going to do the same, I think, with that. The camera movement.
About who you are or what you do. No one cares.
Yeah, I think I like that more.
About who you are or what you do. No one cares.
So cool. that's what we have. And now let's put in this no one thing. So let's make a new text layer with no one. Change that to monster extra bold, I guess. Make it 3D. And then I think it comes in somewhere around here. So yeah, right about here. So it's 3D now. We can move it behind the camera. And then we have to really bring it out on the Z axis somewhere around, I don't know, 5,000 or something. Yeah, there we go. We can bring it back just so it's like comes in. But let's just see what this does. Yeah, no. Okay, I think that's good. Also, let's make the whole scene a bit darker once this comes in, kind of. So let's do that. We'll do a solid layer. Move it behind kind of everything, but yeah, so let's just keyframe the opacity from like 0 to, I don't know, 33 maybe, just to take just give a bit more contrast for this text that comes in, the what you do and stuff. I think that looks pretty good. And then we have obviously the no, so that'll be helpful too, the black. So yeah, let's see what we got going on, what we have to do. So yeah, we have the no. And then we have to do no one. So let's do Command-Shift-D. So it splits. Let's move it over. Let's change it to cares. Actually, it's not even cares. It's no one, like one. Make both of them a bit smaller. Like that. But let's move over the no a bit, and then we're gonna keyframe its position just so it kind of moves into the one. It'll look pretty cool, kind of subtle effect, but might as well show it. So you kind of see that.
Care.
So yeah, and once we add motion blur and everything, it'll look really good. We can do that now. I guess hit Command A and just hit the motion blur toggle, but don't turn it on. I won't, at least, because it's so hard to render. So yeah, right now we have no one, and it gets a lot darker, kind of right around here too, from this already darkness. Like it goes to black, pitch black, really. So let's do that. We can go back into the one thing we had, like the black thing that at 33%, and just keyframe that opacity. So keyframe it like around here at 33, and then go a couple frames over and do like 100.
No one cares until...
Let's also just keyframe all that crap in the background's opacity. So the what you do and the guy standing. So let's click both of them, hit their opacity. Let's move them back a bit, and then go down to 0. So now
no one cares.
This
No one cares.
Let's move. I think the timing's a bit off. This doesn't really matter for the sake of the tutorial, but we can just get them in quicker. So let's also just move the black in a bit quicker. And the opacity of the guy and what you do a bit quicker. Whoops. So here we go.
No one cares.
So that looks pretty good. Let's see what else we have to do. There's this really subtle red circle thing that comes in too, that we can add in. So subtle, but let's do it. Adds a bit of a depth and just makes it cool. Let's like just shy a couple of these layers so we can see what the hell's going on here. Okay, yeah, so let's make that circle. Go into shape, hit Q a couple times, get the oval, hold shift to make it like a perfect square. We'll turn off the fill, turn on the stroke, do something like 3, I think. Yeah. Okay, then we'll just change that to some red. Let's actually increase the stroke a bit to like 5. Okay, there we go. So let's move it behind camera, everything. Let's turn on 3D. Let's position the Z to like -6,000. Let's see. No. There we go. Negative -5,000. So let's just refer back to the original thing. Scale it down a bit. That looks pretty good.
No one cares. No one cares.
Let's increase the stroke just a bit so we can see it to 7. And actually, maybe the color, let's make it a bit darker. Okay. There we go. So now this like retro cool kind of looking star thing comes in. So let's also do that. So I've got star thing imported. Just keep it above everything for now so we can see it. Let's change to the fill to a white. And then let's look at, well, yeah, we'll rotate it a bit. Like that. Let's make it 3D. Let's put it behind the camera. So let's scale it quite a bit back on the Z. -5,000 is too much, I believe. Yeah. So let's see here. Let's kind of just refer back to the original. Yeah, it's pretty good, I'd say. Screw it. You can see the camera zooms out a ton. So let's just do that a bit more. So go into the null and then just do that a bit. Do it a bit. Let's also go into the star thing and just change the size of it so that when it does kind of fully zoom out, it's quite a bit smaller. So yeah, something like that, I guess. So yeah, it's also keyframe the rotation. See how it kind of turns a bit and like moves over to the, it starts in like the center kind of, and then it moves over to the left. So let's do that. Let's go into it, hit the keyframe on the Z to what of what you already kind of rotated it. And then like right here, let's go in and rotate it to something like that. And then I'm going to ease those. So now
No one cares.
turns. Whoa, let's maybe not do that much. I didn't mean to rotate it like that much. Something like that. And then it also, the position is, like I said, moves to the left. So let's pull up the rotation keyframes again. And then we'll keyframe the position. Also go over to the rotation at the end and keyframe and just move it to the side, I guess. Also ease those.
No one cares.
So now we have
No one cares.
Okay, I think we're pretty good so far. Let's change the scale of it just a bit, so it's a little bit less like distracting. Cool. And then right about here, this rectangle comes in, obviously. So let's do that. New shape layer. Let's get a rectangle, draw it in. The edges are a bit rounded too, or the corners, sorry. So let's do that. No stroke, solid color fill. And then let's move it behind the camera. Turn on 3D. Move it way up, something like minus 5,000 probably. No, or yeah, let's try that. And then just change the scale of it. But it only comes in like here, so let's just move it to here. Yeah, but it's quite a bit smaller. Not that this matters really much at all, but whatever. So yeah, it comes in here. And then it's only here for a couple like frames, so we'll Command Shift D, delete that layer. And now we have that. And let's go into the circle and the star, and let's keyframe their opacities. So hit keyframe at 100%, and then just go forward a couple frames and do 0. So now we have this.
Who cares until you...
Let's extend that rectangle just a bit. Cool. Let's add a new text layer. Cares. Change the fill to red. Why did that not work? I don't know. Okay, I suck. Now it works. So let's just position it properly. Let's move it behind the camera. 3D. And it comes in after the rectangle, so let's see what it looks like. Okay, yeah, it's got to come way back, obviously. Minus 5,000. Scale it up. Let's move it down.
Cares until you...
Cool. Let's move that position of the null a bit longer, just so we have a bit of movement on the care too, so it's not like an abrupt stop like this or something.
Cares until you...
That looks weird, right?
Until you...
So yeah, let's just move it
Until you... Cares until you...
back. Like you can do however long you want, I guess, or if you were to keep going, but yeah. So let's see what we have.
People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares until you...
So that looks okay.
People don't care about who you are or what...
So I changed the camera movement to ease the keyframes, something like this, where it starts slowly and then it speeds up.
Care about who you are or what you do. No one cares until you...
So it looks pretty good, I'd say. So that's pretty much it, honestly, for building the scene. Now I'm going to get into what Houston uses to make his kind of scenes look cohesive and like give him his style in terms of like overlays, effects, glows, things like that. So let's do that. I'm going to do new composition, same settings. And then I'm going to drag that composition we were just working in into that composition. And now I'm going to add a bunch of adjustment layers. So the first thing I'm going to do is add posterize time. If you don't know, everyone's using this these days, kind of, but it just changes the frame rate to like 16 frames a second, which gives it like just a cool kind of hand-drawn feel, like a vintage feel kind of in a way. So yeah, let's duplicate that adjustment layer. Let's delete posterize time. Then let's throw on Deep Glow. Deep Glow is a paid plugin. If you don't have Deep Glow, you can also use a Glow or like other free, like the built-in After Effects Glow or other free. You can use other free glows to get a similar effect. Doesn't matter. But I'm going to just turn down the radius quite a bit and like the opacity, or sorry, the exposure quite a bit too. This just helps give it like a really kind of cohesive look that blends everything together in a cool way. And just gives like a nice glow to the text, obviously, which is nice. So let's go with that for now. It doesn't matter exactly. You guys can play around with it however you like. But yeah, so we got Deep Glow. Now we're going to go, we can go into the Deep Glow and keyframe the, well, not keyframe it, but like change the opacity of it. So it kind of gives a flicker effect, because if you notice in a lot of his videos, he has like a flicker to the to his videos. There's a flicker that kind of keeps you engaged. So let's do that. Go into the opacity expression and then do something like wiggle 20, 50, I think.
People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares. People don't care about who you are or...
We can do 20. It's a bit much. Okay, I think that looks pretty good.
People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares until you...
Cool. So yeah, now we have a bit of a flicker to the glow. The opacity changes just a bit, but it adds like a cool effect.
About who you are.
Now we're going to do another adjustment layer. So duplicate the layer and just delete Deep Glow. Then just add in like a basic vignette. Not even necessary. It depends on the video, honestly, and stuff. But yeah, you just take the brightness of the edges off a bit. Something like that. Doesn't matter. You can play around with it. Cool. Now I'm going to make another adjustment layer. I'm going to go into, unfortunately, this is a paid plugin, but it's what Houston uses. I'm in his community, so his paid community, so I know like what he uses kind of a lot. So yeah, it's a chromatic abrasion effect. So let's go into Red Giant. If you don't have it, you probably don't. You probably don't have it. You might not. Hopefully you do. But there's also a built-in lens distortion, and you can get a free chromatic abrasion plugin. So you can use that together. So that's essentially what I'm doing. So you can look into that and you can get the same effect. So I'm going to just apply that to this adjustment layer. And now you can see how it makes everything kind of blend together and like have this chromatic abrasion. Like it spreads out the RGB colors of everything. You can see that it's way too much though. Like it's just way too much of an effect. So let's mess around with that a bit. So we'll turn down the saturation of the aberration a bit. And then turn down the distortion amount to like 0.5. And also take down the blur like completely. And you can see here's kind of a good example of what it does, but it bends everything kind of around the edges like it's a lens, like a really fish-eyed lens in a cool way. And you can see here a bit. So yeah, That's what Houston uses, something like that. You can play around with, like I said, you can play around with all this stuff to whatever you want. So now we have something like that. And before I forget, let's turn on motion blur for everything. Let's go into our original comp. And then just Control A, select everything, and then just hit motion blur. And now we have motion blur on obviously. And I'm gonna go into the composition settings and see what our shutter angle at. Okay, 200 is pretty good. You can, the higher the shutter angle, the more motion blur you'll have. But I think 200 is a good amount. You don't want to overdo it. Another thing he uses, unfortunately, it's through Red Giant, which is like that paid plugin again. But he uses turbulent noise, which is like a thing that just adds a lot of cool, I don't know, just adds like depth, more layers to it in a cool way. So I'll show you that. So it looks like this. We'll go with arrow. It adds this weird crap thing, right? Go into soft light here. For now though, we'll change it back to normal. And then just, we should scale it back down a bit. Something like that, I think. And then also keyframe the evolution. I don't know. Hopefully you guys have this. It's a really good plugin. But yeah, so keyframe the evolution at the start. And then go to the end and just like change it to whatever, just so it moves a bit. Let's do it quite a bit more though. So you can see.
People don't care about who you are or what you do.
You can see what it looks like now. But yeah, let's change the blend mode to soft light, I guess, something like that. You can also, like we should change the opacity to 50%. This is also the deep glow layer, which has the flicker on it. So I think, and it has a vignette. So take all that crap off if you have it on. And now we have this.
People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares until you do. People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares until you.
Seems like the flicker is kind of acting up. So honestly, you don't even need it. If it's giving you trouble or if you just don't like it or you can't get the keyframe, you can't get the expression right based on your settings, just screw the whole flicker thing in general. So just have a glow on it.
People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares until you.
And for some reason, this, I think it's just the like the preview, but it's jumping around kind of for some reason. It's caused by the aberration for some reason. So one more adjustment layer. And again, it uses Red Giant, which is unfortunate, but it's a VHS effect. So we'll go into stylize VHS. And let's do something like camcorder. And then just do like, we can blend it with the original. This is kind of unnecessary, but it just adds in like these very subtle
or what you do. No one cares until you.
Glitch effects and a bit of a grain to it. And I lied to you guys. Let's make one more adjustment layer. Let's turn on, let's use Red Giant again. Let's go into text. And then we'll go into distort. No, we'll go into stylize, glitch. Then we'll go into text. And then just like, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I use like grungy when I'm trying to get this kind of look. So we'll turn down the compression completely. And then you can see all these crazy glitch effects, which is way too much. So we'll go into wide glitch settings, turn down the saturation completely to none, and then change it to none. Same thing with small glitch, so none, and then saturation 0. And then we'll go into glitch frequency and turn it down like way more, like to 15%. Let's see how that looks. And then it also changed the glitch speed, so it's just not as quick. So then we have this. Let's change this random seed because I didn't really like that glitch completely right there. But like now we have these really subtle, kind of subtle glitch effects, and we can just
People don't care about who you are.
we can keyframe, or sorry, we can change the opacity on the whole layer if we want to make them less noticeable.
Or what you do. No one cares until you. People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares until you.
Yeah, let's take a look at the final kind of thing. It's not perfect to what I originally remade, but just for the sake of the tutorial, I think it kind of gives you a lot of insight on what Houston did or does. But the timing's not perfect. It's a bit messy in spots, but the overall kind of theme vibe is there, obviously. So let's take a look at what it is.
People don't care about who you are or what you do. No one cares until you.
And like I said, it's rendering, or it's previewing weird. It's glitching, which is annoying. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found it valuable. You guys can leave a like, subscribe if you want. Plenty more kind of this content coming your way. Peace.